In the beginning, God created man to freely and willingly choose to love and obey Him as His grateful, thankful children. In the beginning, God really wanted His relationship with the first people, Adam and Eve, to be by grace and faith. There were very few rules, very few laws, and He wanted everything to be done voluntarily, out of love. That was God's original plan. But as man became more and more disobedient and wicked, God had to give him more and more laws and rules and regulations. These laws were not made for the righteous because the righteous doesn't harm or do wrong to his neighbor. So the laws and rules and regulations came because of wrongdoers, the evil people. Remember, the laws of Moses didn't come until after Adam, after Noah, and after Abraham. The laws or commandments had to be given because of the people who did not love their neighbor, the ones who did harmful things. The Bible says in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless, the disobedient, for the ungodly, for the unholy and profane, for murderers, for manslayers. What would you do if you were face to face with a wild animal, a ravenous beast that might bite you or kill you? You'd either have to put him in a cage or kill him. Well, sad to say, a wicked, evil man is like a wild animal. Look at the atrocities and cruelties that some of the terrorists and oppressive governments are committing in some places. Even wild animals would hardly do things like that. So because man did not follow the grace and faith and love, God had to crack down with the rules, the cage of the law for transgressors. But the rules couldn't save man. They only showed him where he was wrong. Paul writes to the Romans, he says, "Therefore by the deeds of the laws there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin." In fact, it's impossible for anyone to do good according to the law of Moses. The Mosaic law makes every one of us a sinner because not one of us can obey every jot and tittle of the law. Now, if you think you can obey all the laws of Moses, I invite you to check them out. You can find all 613 commandments in the book of Exodus between chapters 21 and 35. Oh, you thought there were only 10 commandments? No. There are 613, and I guarantee you that not one person on the planet Earth can obey all of them. The laws of Moses were only to be our teacher, our instructor, or schoolmaster, to show us that we're sinners, to bring us to God for mercy, and to show us His absolute perfection, which was impossible for us to attain. And that brings us to our Bible verse for today, which we find in Galatians chapter 3, verse 24, where the Apostle Paul writes, "Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ, that we might be justified by faith." And in the Living Bible translation, this verse says, let me put it another way. The Jewish laws were our teacher and guide until Christ came to give us right standing with God through our faith. So when it says in the first chapter of the book of John, "For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ," it's making a point that we cannot fulfill the law. We need the grace and truth that Jesus brought in order to be saved. The laws of Moses were the schoolmaster to bring us to Christ, that we might be justified by faith. How will you justify yourself when the time comes? Will you be justified by your obedience to the law, or will you be justified by your faith in Jesus Christ? And that's our Bible verse for today. If you have any comments on what you've heard here, we invite you to leave them right there below. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.